And lastly, for me, champ, in the world of comparisons that we live in right now, if you can compare and contrast the fight between yourself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and tonight's bout with Terence "Bud" Crawford, if you can.
No, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
The air inside the arena was thick with tension, but the real explosion didn't happen inside the ropes. It happened ringside. Roy Jones Jr., Floyd "Money" Mayweather, and Terence "Bud" Crawford were suddenly pulled into the center of a chaotic, unscripted clash moments after Crawford stunned the globe by dismantling Canelo Alvarez. Security swarmed. Chests were puffed. For one electric, terrifying second, it looked as though the untouchable king of the previous generation and the undisputed apex predator of today were going to settle the debate right then and there. No gloves, no contracts, just raw alpha energy. It begs the question, is there genuine bad blood here? Or is the ghost of boxing's past simply terrified that the world has finally found a better fighter?
You see all these fighters, they're doing the shoulder roll. You see, I mean, yeah. And not knocking the guys that paved the way. And I want to come on record and say, I'm appreciative for guys like Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard. So many guys that paved the way for me. But there's only one Floyd Mayweather. These fighters are not better than me. You look at the numbers, they say, oh, Canelo may end up beating more world champions than Floyd Mayweather. Wait, he should? With almost, 80 and 90 fights, he should? Mm-hmm. I beat more world champions than any fighter in history. I'm 50-0, but half of my fights were world title fights.
Thank you, GOAT, because you are the GOAT of this era. Terence "Bud" Crawford.
There is one thing Floyd Mayweather protects more fiercely than his undefeated record: his spotlight. Whenever a new face begins to capture the imagination of the boxing public, Mayweather inevitably steps out of the shadows to remind everyone who paved the way. We saw it with Gervonta "Tank" Davis, and now we are seeing it with Terence Crawford. After Bud orchestrated the most significant masterclass victory of the modern era over Canelo, the cheers hadn't even faded before Floyd began throwing shade. But this isn't just about promotional tactics. This is about legacy preservation. Deep down, Floyd understands that Crawford didn't just win a belt that night. He stole Mayweather's crown as the undisputed face of boxing brilliance.
Because, like, if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, yeah, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time. Oh, yes. That makes a difference to people. Second half of the fight put an emphasis on the fact that Bud was in fact outboxing him in the first half of the fight. It is one of the biggest wins in boxing history. And now let Uncle Max gather around, children, and I will explain this. This is the situation, guys. No one has ever been a 4-division champion in boxing. Not a real one. Oh, Pacquiao won 8 and Oscar De La Hoya won 11 and this one won 15. No, I'm talking about Ring Magazine champ or lineal champ. You are the champion of that division. Forever, the record was 3 by Henry Armstrong. Manny Pacquiao was the first dude to really win 4. Floyd gets credit for 4 for beating Canelo, but that wasn't at the junior middleweight limit. I don't count that. I don't count that. Terence Crawford just joined Manny Pacquiao as the only legit 4-division champion in the history of boxing. And he did.
For nearly 2 decades, the boxing world bowed to a single acronym, TBE, the best ever. Floyd Mayweather Jr. engineered a flawless 50-0 record, built a billion-dollar empire, and convinced the planet that his defensive mastery was the absolute pinnacle of combat sports. He demanded total respect and took the lion's share of the money. But then, Terence Crawford stepped into the ring and changed the entire conversation. By achieving what many thought was impossible, moving up to 168 pounds to systematically break down Canelo Alvarez, Crawford didn't just win a fight, he shattered the Mayweather myth. Now, the streets, the analysts, and the numbers are all pointing to a new truth. Floyd's resume might be deeper, but Crawford's legacy is built on a brand of fearless risk-taking that Mayweather simply never possessed.
Who do you think's better out of those two? Crawford or Mayweather?
I think Crawford is better, bigger. Like he's actually he moved in weight class, and I would say Crawford is a better fight all around fighter. Mayweather's really good too, though. You can knock him as well. He's very talented. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because it's bigger. You know what I'm saying? And he would have kept him at bay. It would have been hard for Mayweather to counter, maybe. But Mayweather's definitely a technician. I mean, like Crawford said, Mayweather has his era, and Crawford, this is his era.
When the fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez was announced, the boxing world collectively shook its head. It was deemed a physical mismatch. Crawford was a career 147-pounder who had briefly touched 155 or Canelo was the undisputed king of 168. The narrative was simple. A good big man always beats a good little man. But Crawford tore up the rulebook. He didn't just survive the power of the Mexican superstar, he dictated the geography of the ring, slipped the heavy artillery, and systematically dismantled the bigger man round after round. It was a performance that transcended weight classes and silenced every critic who said he was biting off more than he could chew. It was the night Terence Crawford became immortal.
Your favorite, Canelo or Crawford? Canelo. Yeah. Canelo.
What do you think is the most significant part of that matchup in Canelo being Canelo versus Crawford?
That he's comfortable at 150, 168. That he's been fighting there. He went and collected all the belts at that weight class. Crawford, of course, Crawford has a chance. He has a big chance, being one of the pound-for-pound fighters of the world. But it's just the advantage of being there first. You know what to expect in that weight class. Crawford's coming off a 154 fight that he fought last year. So I really don't consider him even a 154. He's been fighting at 147 for a while. He had that one fight at 154, and then he stopped fighting for a year again. So, of course, he's probably been training, again, high-class fighter. But to be comfortable at 168, you're going to have to do some fights in there. And going in there fighting the undisputed champion, it's going to take a toll.
History remembers the victors, but it also remembers how they fought. Floyd Mayweather is universally recognized as a tactical genius, a master of the shoulder roll, and undeniably the greatest businessman the sport has ever seen. Max Kellerman famously pointed out that Floyd always chose the perfect, most calculated moment to face his legendary opponents. Terence Crawford, however, operates on a completely different frequency. He doesn't wait for a legend to age, he walks straight into the fire. Moving up to face a prime, naturally larger champion like Canelo Alvarez is a gladiatorial risk that Floyd was famously careful to avoid. It's the ultimate contrast of boxing philosophies. The careful, undefeated calculator against the switch-hitting gladiator who wants all the smoke right now.
Saw you before the fight, the Crawford-Canelo fight, and you had a Cavs hat on. This time you've got a GOAT hat on. Is that how you're feeling? I know it says Muhammad Ali, but is that how you're feeling about Bud's performance, about his whole career?
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling that way, man. He's a GOAT. Greatest of all time, man. You gotta give it to him. You gotta give it to him. You gotta give it to his coaches. Not just me, Saul, Red, Bernie, Chet, nutritionists. Everybody played a part.
Canelo said he's way better than Mayweather. What do you think to that?
Who, Terence?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Of course he is.
I didn't have to have 70 fights, 150 fights, 300 fights. Did I not beat the most world champions?
Yes, you did.
Okay. And in the least amount of fights?
Yes, you did.
Who got the highest gate?
Floyd Mayweather.
Who made the most money?
You did.
Who was the most accurate fighter of all time?
You were.
So it's basically saying that...
The greatest of all time.
Okay.
All right.
It is the ultimate fantasy matchup of the 21st century. The flawless defense of Money Mayweather against the switch-hitting savagery of Bud Crawford. But if you listen to the whispers in the boxing community, there's a reason it will remain a fantasy. Even at his peak, Floyd struggled with longer, rangy fighters who could control distance. Crawford, with his exceptional reach, switch stance unpredictability, and killer instinct, presents a stylistic nightmare that Floyd's legendary shoulder roll wasn't built to solve. While fans debate the outcome, Crawford remains unfazed. He knows he doesn't need Floyd's scalp to validate his greatness, leaving Mayweather to shout into the void while Bud continues to rewrite the history books.
How are you feeling to be Chris Eubank's trainer, first of all?
It feels good, man. You know what I'm saying? I've been this training before, so
yeah, it's good.
It's a no-brainer.
Of course. Congratulations on the win. What's your first reactions to Crawford's victory? One of the greats of this era, right?
Oh, definitely that. You know that.
What do you want to see him do now?
What I want to do now?
What do you want to see Crawford do next?
Do what he at this point now in his career where he can do whatever he wanted to do.
Who would you like to see him fight? Any names? Is there any names in particular you'd like to see?
It doesn't matter.
What about Canelo? Would you like to see him retire?
I don't. Canelo's not my responsibility.
Okay.
Let's talk about the absolute rarest air in combat sports. To be a unified champion in one division makes you great. To do it in two makes you a Hall of Famer. But to be a legitimate, lineal, Ring Magazine champion across 4 different weight classes, that is God-tier status. Before Terence Crawford, Manny Pacquiao was the only modern fighter to truly wear that crown. While Floyd claims 4 divisions, purists know his junior middleweight title against Canelo didn't happen at the true weight limit. When Crawford put on a virtuoso 12-round clinic to defeat Canelo, he officially joined Pacquiao in the history books. He didn't just beat a man, he redefined what is physically possible in the squared circle, leaving Mayweather's claims of ultimate supremacy on shaky ground.
He gave you the spotlight, like why would he try to diminish your career? Because at that time I don't want to go too deep into it because I don't want to bring up mine. But it was somehow that they were saying that I was messing with his daughter off of the fact that she kept.
I thought Terence fought a virtuoso fight. Terence never let Canelo get into a rhythm. Terence never allowed Canelo to get anything going. And I didn't think he could do it for 12 rounds. I thought that the first 3 or 4 rounds were going to be difficult for Canelo for that reason. But Terence was able to do it for 12 rounds. And in the later part of the fight, he kind of pushed the fight more than I think people expected, which is the mark of a superstar, man.
Why is Floyd Mayweather, a 48-year-old retired billionaire, suddenly circling Terence Crawford's name? The answer lies in the harsh reality of boxing relevance. Floyd has spent the last few years trading his legacy for cash, fighting YouTubers and kickboxers in exhibitions that generate quick money but zero historical respect. Meanwhile, Crawford is in his absolute prime, orchestrating historical masterclasses that have the whole world watching. Floyd knows that a fight with Crawford is the only guaranteed way to hijack the global spotlight one last time. It's the classic desperation of a faded king trying to borrow the heat of the current emperor. But as Crawford sits quietly at the top, the world wonders, why should the new GOAT give the old king the payday he so desperately craves?
I'm a fighter of the last century, honestly. and it's a reason why I'm the best fighter of the last 100 years. The credentials show it. And I went out there and showed it. What's better than going out there, being world champion for what, 20 years? Box office, I got the record. Pay-per-view, I got the record. It's better to win half 5 world titles than 4 at one particular time. So,
for years, the boxing establishment pushed a very specific narrative to keep Terence Crawford in a box. He can't sell, he's not marketable, he doesn't have the personality. Because Crawford refused to play the loud, flashy, jewelry-wearing villain that the Mayweather era normalized, promoters claimed he was a financial liability. Then came the Canelo fight. Crawford headlined one of the most attended, highest-grossing combat sports events in American history, broadcast globally on Netflix to millions. He proved that you don't need manufactured drama or fake beef to sell out a stadium. You just need to be a generational, undeniable killer in the ring. The unmarketable myth is dead, and the Mayweather blueprint is no longer the only way to the top.
I thought Terence fought a virtuoso fight. Terence never let Canelo get into a rhythm. Terence never allowed Canelo to get anything going, and I didn't think he could do it for 12 rounds. I thought that the first 3 or 4 rounds were going to be difficult for Canelo for that reason, but Terence was able to do it for 12 rounds. And in the later part of the fight, he kind of pushed the fight more than I think people expected, which is the mark of a superstar, man.
What does a perfect fight look like? It doesn't look like a chaotic brawl, and it doesn't look like a defensive track meet. It looks like what Terence "Bud" Crawford did to Canelo Alvarez. Going into the Lion's Den, Crawford fought a virtuoso fight. He never let the undisputed 168-pound champion find a rhythm. He stripped Canelo of his greatest weapons using elite footwork, razor-sharp switch hitting, and a suffocating fight IQ. By the championship rounds, Crawford wasn't just surviving, he was walking the bigger man down. It was the ultimate display of ring generalship, the exact kind of complete, all-around fighting that makes analysts question if even a prime Floyd Mayweather could have cracked the code of Terence Crawford.
Why were you so emotional afterward? Is it that you just realized everything that you achieved, the moment just hit you then?
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's just, the history, behind the sport is everything that, I trained for my whole life. It all was, coming out that one night. That was all paying off. You have a lot of people that, adopted this narrative that Terence Crawford can't sell, Terence Crawford is not marketable, and they push the narrative to the public, and that's all people write about. Oh, Terence Crawford can't do this, Terence Crawford can't do that. But anyone in Terence Crawford fights, you see a sold out crowd, but they wasn't talking about that. They was talking about how, marketable I'm not, and that kind of was hurting my career because, a lot of people was looking at me and said, oh yeah, they say he's not marketable. Oh, they say he's not, don't have a personality, things like that, because I didn't want to do things their way. I didn't want to put on a show. I didn't want to disrespect my opponents when they wasn't disrespecting me. Right. I wasn't, I'm not a guy that, wear jewelry, for no reason, just the things that I didn't want to do that they wanted me to do. They go out there and say, oh, well, they lost money on me. It's just crazy though to see me headline, not one of the largest attending fight in American history. In American history.
In the brutal business of boxing, alliances are fragile. Years ago, Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford shared gym space, exchanging knowledge as mentor and student. Bud has always shown maximum respect to the man who paved the way. Yet, the moment Crawford achieved the impossible and stopped Canelo Alvarez, the mentor's pride turned to poison. Instead of passing the torch to the man who rightfully earned it, Floyd chose to downplay the achievement, criticizing Canelo's skills to diminish Crawford's glory. It's a psychological tell. It reveals a champion who is fundamentally incapable of sharing the mountaintop. Crawford didn't attack Floyd's legacy. His sheer brilliance simply outshone it, and that is a reality Mayweather refuses to accept.
You be sizing niggas up, bro. Keep it a stack. Did you in your head size up Floyd? Like, you know what I'm saying? If we was ever, keep it real, bud. Keep it real.
I'm never that type of guy. I think that's some grimy shit. I always been happy for him, been a fan of his, and I never imagined us fight. I never looked at him like, man, I know I'll beat his.
Boy, you capping, bro. I never thought like fantasy fight me versus Floyd. Nah.
Never. I never just was with a person and looked at him like, man, I'll beat his ass. Never. That's some hate type shit to me.
Like plotting.
I ain't never been that type of person ever.
We are living in an era of constant comparisons, but some debates are settled in the ring, not on the internet. After conquering Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford forced the world to reevaluate the hierarchy of boxing's modern pantheon. He didn't just beat a champion, he conquered a weight class he had no business being in, securing his place as a legitimate 4-division king. The talking heads can argue about Floyd's 50-0 record and his box office dominance, but real fight fans recognize the truth. When it comes to taking the most dangerous challenges, standing in the pocket against giants, and delivering historical violence, Terence "Bud" Crawford has transcended the Mayweather era. The torch hasn't been passed, it's been taken by force.